All right, here we are, live again. It is Saturday night, 6:30. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm going to hang out here while some more people come online. I'm going to hit you with a couple of little headlines here. This is interesting. Obviously, tonight we're going to be talking about Tucker Carlson in 2018 versus the video says 2017. Somebody else did the mashup. I just pulled it off the internet. But 2017 versus 2025 and how he's changed on Islam. It's very interesting to the point that he was kind of being a bit of an apologist for Sharia law, which is weird. And sorry, but tonight is going to be talking about a lot of the things in Islam that are incompatible with the Western world, but how we might just be helpless against it because Islam is continuing to grow. They're essentially breeding people out across the world. They've done it, are doing it in London. Germany is going to be lost. France is going to be lost. Of course, the UK is going to be lost. All these places are going to be lost. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, I'm going to hit you guys with this headline. I don't know if you saw it or not. It's a sad video, but it's worth watching. This young woman who, oh man, I better pause that. Yeah, I don't want to play the whole thing because it is graphic. Well, let's go ahead and we'll play it. Here we go. So this is the young woman. She was from Ukraine, a young Ukrainian woman, and this is what happened to her. She's sitting on a bus, and here's this dude behind her. She came here, I guess, to escape the war and to find a better life. And, you know, what happens? Her life was cut short on public transit in Charlotte, North Carolina. Dude pulls out a knife. And then what happens? For no reason, boom. Done. Stabbed in the neck. Horrible. Horribly sad. But, you know, folks are saying you got to stay away from public transit. It's gotten so wildly dangerous. Wildly dangerous out there. So that's just some, I guess you would call it breaking news. It just happened today. And I want to know where the you know, golden caskets and all that kind of stuff are. That's what George Floyd got. What does this young lady get? Not a dadgum thing. Not a dadgum thing. Just another victim of this deranged culture that we live in right now. Okay, well, I was just going to hit you with a quick headline while some folks came online. Let's go ahead and talk about the video clip in question. And this was going to be, honestly, part of a larger video that I'm going to be honest, I actually recorded one today, but I have this weird scenario where I'm a perfectionist. I do video and photo stuff for a living. And when it doesn't look right, doesn't sound exactly right, I tend to be hypercritical. So I said, no, I'm just going to save it for the live stream tonight. And I'll work in some of the things I was going to do in my earlier video into this one. But this is Tucker Carlson and his evolution on Sharia law. This video, again, the video says 2017, but it's actually 2018 compared to 2025. Listen up.
So a lot of Americans are concerned about Sharia law.
Sure.
And they're concerned about polls that show a strikingly large number of Muslims would like to see it supplant civil law in the countries in which they live.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
I don't know of a single Gulf country where it's illegal to proselytize on behalf of another religion. I think that in every Muslim majority country in the world, non-Muslims are treated, have fewer rights.
And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen.
So you often hear people say, well, Sharia is intolerant, women are treated badly, gays are treated badly. Women have, in the Quran, fewer rights than men do.
I'm not Muslim, I'm not for Sharia law. On the other hand, compared to what? Compared to Baltimore?
In England, it's 4 out of 10 British Muslims. In France, 29% of French Muslims would like to see it replace French law.
You know, if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh boy, I hope we don't wind up with that.
But I've seen a bunch of polls like this that show that the attitudes of faithful Muslims are not Western at all, and that they include a tolerance of violence you don't find among, say, Presbyterians or Jews.
You know, shut up. Sharia law.
Meanwhile, California imam is apologizing after he referred to Jews as filth.
O Allah, liberate the Al-Aqsa Mosque from the filth of the Jews. O Allah, count them one by one and annihilate them down to the very last one. Do not spare any of them.
Sorry, Sharia law.
Crazy transformation. Crazy transformation. And it's almost, in this interview, it's almost as if he didn't know any of the things that he reported on back in 2018. So, yeah, does he support Sharia law? Well, he gives the disclaimer, no, I don't support Sharia law. But as compared to what? Detroit? Well, now you're talking about politics and the active, basically the ignoring crime as it's happening, which is what's happening in places like Detroit. We've talked about the recidivism problem I've talked about it until I am absolutely blue in the face, and I'm a little tired of talking about it, which is why I'm moving on to something else, at least for the time being. But yeah, this is talking about you're obfuscating your responsibilities, abdicating your responsibilities, versus Sharia law, which is this. Here's Sharia law. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. This is when it's in action, and I have seen it in action, by the way, in my several deployments. Obviously, I got to see the women dressed up like beekeepers. They never leave the house. This is what you can expect from Sharia law. It's the natural end to Sharia law. Check this out. Here you go. Obviously, that's a woman. She's covered up. Everybody comes out in the town square. This is in Afghanistan. This is when it's taken to its full measure. This is what you get. I can give you another example. Here, let me show you another one. Why not, while we're on a roll? This is one that allegedly the woman couldn't satisfy her husband in bed. So this is the sort of thing that happens. There you go. And then all the men standing around. Here you go. Get out of here, lady. Yeah, there you go. Let's all cheer. Whoop and holler. It's a happy day. It's a happy day with Sharia law. Let's do one more. This is actually not in, it's sitting in Afghanistan. This one is in, I believe, Indonesia. And this is because two people were hugging in public. So hugging in public and you get caned 17 times under Sharia law. You get caught hugging in public for shame, for shame. And Tucker seems like, okay, well, he says there's zero rape in Muslim countries. Did you know that there have to be multiple witnesses to that rape in order for the woman to, I guess I'm not supposed to say that word. They're probably going to take me off of YouTube now. Let's see, just say SA. So when there is an SA that takes place, there have to be multiple witnesses. Otherwise, the woman is the one who is punished. The woman is the one who is punished, not the one who did the SA. It's the woman who is to blame. How dare you let another man do that to you? This is Sharia law. This is Islam. Now, there's some exceptions to this. And before I get into that, I will say that people are already calling this, they're calling him Carlson, saying that he's paid off by Qatar. He referenced going into, Saudi Arabia. He said he was in Riyadh. He talked about Abu Dhabi and these places. Those are areas where they have, in certain parts of the cities, they have alleviated their Sharia law. They've made things a bit more lax to welcome in Westerners. But there are still examples of women riding in the front seat of taxis being imprisoned because she wasn't with her husband, even in these developed Muslim worlds. They are arcane. They are archaic. And, could it be Qatar? I don't know. It possibly could. Everybody loves to talk about Israel, but these are the most political activities as done by Middle Eastern countries. So you've got Saudi Arabia, not all Middle Eastern countries, but the DRC, the UAE, Bangladesh, Azerbaijan, Iraq, Belgium, Dominican Republic, Bahrain, South Korea, which is obviously not Muslim, Turkey. You've got Qatar, Kazakhstan, Serbia, Yemen, India, which is Hindu, and Egypt. So you've got all these political actions from other people, from other countries. Is it possible that they have schmoozed him enough that he says, well, I thought all my opinions were wrong about Sharia law? Let's see. So Junior said, Tucker used to work for CNN and MSNBC and has lived in Washington, D.C. his whole life. You can't get more liberal than that. Yep, that is absolutely true. And I highlighted this in another video, that he went to St. George's, which is an Episcopal school. Now I think it's $60,000 a year for a high school. Private school is where he went. So he goes to this rich school. His dad was in the CIA. Which he lied about, obviously. I think we all know that at this point. And all of a sudden, he's become some savior to the right. I've laughed. I've honestly done stuff. I love it. Would love it when he would go after liberals. But I'm not going for this headline nonsense anymore. The headline stuff, sure, we'll talk about it. But is that what I'm going to spend the bulk of my time researching? No, because that doesn't tell me anything. That tells me whatever the media thinks should be popular at any given moment. And in this instance, we are dealing with generational change in America. And that generational change is, first off, it's coming from the immigration problem. And it's also from us not having kids, from us being breeded out of our own existence. And look, they know this is the case. The Muslims know that this is the case, and they talk about it openly. Let me bring up this clip here. This is actually, before I go to the U.S., let's talk about Europe. So this is some interesting stats, which we're fairly close to it, but these are some interesting stats on the birth rates in London. Check this out. Oh,
we're underpopulated. In order for civilization,
Europe
Europe will fall in the next 100 years. I don't think the world is overpopulated. I think we're underpopulated. In order for civilization to maintain itself, it must have a fertility rate of 2.11 kids per woman. Historically, no culture has ever reversed a 1.9 fertility rate, okay, historically. And a rate of 1.3 is mathematically impossible to reverse. Where are we right now in Europe? France, 1.8. England, 1.6. Greece, 1.3. Dead. Germany, 1.3. Dead. Italy, 1.2. Dead. Spain, 1.1. Now, let's do a little calculation here. What is the fertility rate, the Islamic fertility rate in France? 8.1. In large French cities, 45% of children under the age of 20 are Islamic. At this rate, in 40 years, France could become an Islamic republic. The world as we know it is just changing in a way that I feel is irreversible, and we're gonna see the outcome of that eventually.
Look, I've said multiple times that France or the UK will be the first nuclear-armed Islamic country. I believe that and the birth rates show that. It's the end result of liberalism and feminism and the death of the church and all the horrible things that have happened in Europe, here in the United States, all over. And we're seeing not just so yes, we're being breeded out, but at the same time, the level of violence. This is, you kind of can kind of equate this to end times. I'm not going to get biblical on any of this, but end times, when you hear about the Antichrist coming back and people talking about peace and security, that'll be the word of the Antichrist. Peter Thiel talked about it, which, don't get me started on Peter Thiel. He was originally going to be the subject of this video, but I'm not going to get into that. But this is the type of thing that young men in the UK are up against. These guys with axes, knives, hammers, all this stuff, coming looking for him, finding the young British men. Now, Tommy Robinson has been doing what he can to try and rekindle a bit of UK patriotism, but that's in the UK. And you might think, okay, well, the government can stop this. They can get rid of people. They can deport them. All this. Well, who did they appoint as the one to basically protect their borders and manage the police, manage immigration? Well, this is who it is. This is the new UK Home Secretary in charge of borders, police, and immigration, Shabana Mahmood. Do you think she's going to be an ardent supporter of closed borders and deportations in the UK? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, Stray Kitten, you said you'll have to go watch the replay. All right, I appreciate that. Thanks for coming back. I truly appreciate it. You've been you and Junior, you're both very loyal followers and commenters. Y'all fire up the chat. I love it. So yeah, come on back and watch the replay. It's all right. It'll be up. So yeah, that's the person who's going to be in charge of the UK's borders and their police and making sure that we get this immigration crisis under control. Now, you might say, well, okay, maybe some of the other leadership can do it. Maybe if we look to a more executive position. Well, here is Sadiq Khan, who is the mayor of London. And what does the mayor of London have to say about divvying out resources to people?
particularly Londoners of Islamic faith, is the issue of housing. And so we need to build far more homes in our city because, often people from minority communities want to live near a mosque, near halal food, near places where there are other people like them. So they for a variety of obvious reasons. And they're priced out because there's not enough housing. So we're going to build at least 40,000 council homes, at least 6,000 rent control homes. And the final thing to say in relation to Londoners who are Muslim is, look.
This is the lady's commentary. But he's saying, no, let's divvy out the resources, not to the people who actually pay the taxes, but let's give it out to the immigrants, to the people who came here, who haven't paid into the system. Those are the ones that we need to look out for. See, they're always keen to look out for themselves, obviously, over other people. And look, I'm going to come back to the Tucker Carlson thing really quick. I personally think that when you can agree with Israel policies and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure I disagree with people that'll watch this show. And the minute you come out saying anything positive about Israel, you're dancing for Israel. That's what somebody said on a panel I was on not too long ago. And that's not the case. I don't give full-throated support for Israel. But when you follow the hatred of all of that to the nth degree, you start finding common ground with people like Muslims. That's where Tucker has gone. That's kind of where Candace Owens has gone. And I've even heard people say, well, just get them out of there. Get them out of Israel. Where are we going to put them? Well, the problem is let's see, this is and I'm kind of going out of order now. This is the type of thing that they face regardless of where they go, but it's not just them. This is the thing. We have to remember when a Muslim says Israel or Jews, it ultimately comes back to Christians because I'm going to show you in the Quran where it says this. It's the end result for everybody because to have a caliphate, to bring about what their religion requires, you have to get rid of not just the Jews, but the Christians, and you will be forced to convert or die. We see it all over the globe. We've seen it in Sudan, which nobody likes to talk about for whatever reason, but hundreds of thousands dead, 60% of which are Christians.
Know who they are, whether they are in Israel, Tel Aviv, in Washington, in Germany, in Europe. We all need them. We all know them. They need to be locked up. They need to be taken out. They need to be neutralized to save children, to save the humanity.
And that's exactly right, Junior. They have one rule, and that is to take over. Now, they kind of do this on the backs of the children. I feel bad about war. I hate war. I've been to war. I don't like war. I'm one of those guys who did enough of it over the years where I come back and I just say, whatever we can do to avoid war. I'm so sick of war. But I got to find the clip. Let's see, where'd it go here? We're live. This is what happens. Where did it go? Oh man, did I lose it? Oh, here we go. This is the level of commitment that you are up against. This is a woman. She's in Palestine, and this is what she says. This is what Islam promotes. This is what it tells people to believe. What it tells people to promote. All of her 4 children are martyrs, and she's happy about that. She's going to be rewarded for sacrificing her sons in war. And this isn't the only video, by the way. I've got tons of them. And she eventually does her hollering and yelling and all that. We're ready for the sake of Allah. Yeah. She's going to start whooping and hollering here in a minute, doing the loud pitch thing. But yeah, this is what it is. It is, we'll sacrifice anyone down to the last body. We've got a whole harem of women that these Islamic men have to breed more children. And that's the level of commitment they have to taking over, a city, a state, the world, whatever. Even to the point, by the way, this is an interesting stat, of inbreeding. This is a big problem inside of the Muslim community, and not, developed world or not, this is a problem. Here's the stats of consanguineous marriage rates inside of Islam. You've got Afghanistan. I should have put Bahrain in there. I was looking at the ones that were over 40%, or that our estimates are over 40%. But Afghanistan, Bahrain, Egypt was up to 40% in 2016, but Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Libya, Mauritania, Oman, Pakistan, Palestine, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, UAE, Yemen, and basically consanguineous marriage means second cousin or closer to where you are. Well, I kind of work this in my brain, and you guys tell me what you think about it. But I work in my brain. I think, okay, what's the easiest way to spread a religion to convince people? Well, you gotta have illiterate people. People that aren't going to read the Quran themselves or study the Quran themselves. And I guess if they do, they're still going to learn the same thing. But nonetheless, these are malleable people, and we know that the side effects of inbreeding are, mental retardation is one of the side effects. You have an increased infant mortality rate, but when you're having babies as much as they are, you just keep going and going and going, and it doesn't really stop. So you create these malleable people that are willing to go pick up a rifle, walk into a bazaar, whatever it happens to be, and blow themselves up or die in order to get this stuff that is promised to them by their, in my opinion, their warlord pedo leader, which is you know who. I got to be careful about what I say because I'll get taken off of YouTube. So let's go to the what's happening here in America. And I'm doing this out of order. Good boy, I'm doing it out of order. Let's see. Where did it go? So we talked about them. I can go into France. I could talk about Denmark. Denmark students are being forced to go into mosques to learn about that. Here's in Plano, Texas. So here we are, coming back to the homeland, coming back to where we should be the most concerned is here in America. But here we go. Let's listen to this guy.
A million, right? And in Stockholm, if you have 10% Muslim, I was in the city of Malmö. Malmö, it's spelled with an O, but it's pronounced Malmö. And they said that if the Swedish population maintains its negative and the Muslim population maintains, Muslims have, mashallah, the average of what, 5, 6, 7 kids, right? The average, mashallah, that's for secret weapon, I say. That the prediction is, this is the halal secret weapon, guys, huh? So don't nobody take the video and miss it. Halal secret weapon. It's not our fault we have more kids, guys. You want to do whatever you want to do. It's all halal, alhamdulillah. So if the projection continues, I was told by one of the local counselors there that within one generation, it is very likely that this city will almost be half Muslim. Because this city is just not there. The locals are not reproducing. It's not our fault. I mean, it's not, I don't know why they're getting irritated at us. It's not our fault we're having kids, right? So it's not even, so the point is what's going to happen to the majority? Now, finish off on this negative note. You know, the Swedish Quran burning. You're hearing this happening, right? I passed by the place where the guy did it. And he did it in a district of Malmö that is 90% Muslim.
Wow. Okay. Now, you might say, so what's the harm? Maybe Tucker Carlson's right. Now, they're going to breed us out anyway. So if I'm going to have to submit to Sharia, maybe you're not a religious person. Well, what difference does it make? Okay. I mean, you can go along with that if you want. But as I said before, when we talk about where they stand, it always comes back to Israel. Everybody loves to talk about the Israel thing. Well, Israel is their primary opponent. But who else is their primary opponent? Verily, those who disbelieve, this is from the Quran, the people of the scripture, Jews and Christians, will abide in the fire of hell forever. They are the worst of creatures. You're a terrible creature. You are disgusting. The best of people are you, obviously, are Muslims, as they believe. But don't even have these people as friends. You know, Jews and Christians, don't have them as friends. And whoever amongst you takes them for a friend, then surely he is one of them. So you're just as bad as they are, even if you become friends with them. Be severe with these people. Obviously, they are more than happy to do that. I've witnessed this firsthand. I'm sure you guys. There was a Christian guy that I knew in Iraq, and this Christian doctor, and there was a small Christian community inside of Baghdad, and he would have to sneak in. And when he would show up, he was always looking over his shoulder. He was trying to, care for the people that he knew there. Use his outside influence to try and give assistance to the Christians. A lot of them he was trying to get out. Yeah, they are not friendly to Christians. While they say, oh, the people of the book, no, wrong, incorrect. It is explicit that it's a convert or die situation for anybody who is not a Muslim, and they do not, by the way, worship the same God as Christians, even though that's what they love to say. We worship the same God. Incorrect. You are incorrect. Okay, let's see. What's the next one here? Yeah, gosh, there's a bajillion of them. Now, I was going to get into I watched a couple of videos today of some folks that were highlighting the rampant pedophilia inside of Islam, it's a cultural thing in a lot of ways. I'm not going to get into it tonight because I will get kicked off the live stream. I was going to pre-record it and then edit it. But let me give you, let me give you just one example, and maybe I'll just let you read it. That way I don't have to worry about getting booted off the internet. But read the last half of this. So he mentioned a group of male members who looked like Zoot people. It's about halfway down. Zoot people were a tribe of people who were known for their prowess of the physical, let's just say that, men. And this is an instance where, their almighty guy came out and had let these guys have their way with him. Let's just put it that way. You can screenshot that and read it later. I worry about getting canceled. That's always the thing. It's not even getting canceled. It's about YouTube just banning the video altogether. This is not some pure religion. It is not. In fact, I question whether it's an actual religion. I often do, because there's a political system behind it, which is another thing that really worries me about Islam, is it has Sharia law that follows it up. The intent is you get rid of the Jews, you get rid of the Christians. If you can convert people along the way, that's fine. You kill as many men as you can, and then you take their wives as your slaves. This is a component of their conquest. This is what they do. And, it ultimately ends with the great caliphate and running the world and all of that good stuff. But, I question whether or not we should even consider it a religion. I almost don't. But this is kind of their plan. Like here, I'm gonna give you a couple more examples of these guys. Let's see. Let me read some of the comments here. Yeah, they inbreed to keep their money and status within their bloodline. Take over. That's it. That's absolutely it. It is. It's what I consider to be. There's something that a lot of people will reference called an antichrist spirit, not the big A, but the small a, and anything that is antithetical to Christianity. And I think wholeheartedly that something that seeks to destroy Christianity is something of that is that antichrist spirit, that small a antichrist spirit. But I'm going to play you another clip here. Let's listen to this one. I'm filling everybody's head with this stuff so we know the severity of it and the fact that this is going on here in America.
We bought 3 churches so far, converted them to masjids, and now we have one we are buying with a school to make it, because we have to serve the same people. The people who were part of that community, one day they will be Muslims. So we'll make it into a masjid and an Islamic school for our children and their children, inshallah. 100 years ago, they invaded the Muslim world and they built missionary schools and destroyed Islamic schools and masjids.
Obviously the people listening to this don't understand that the Crusades, 1,500 years ago, that was us trying to take back Jerusalem from them. Lest we forget. No. It's the Christians who did this. The Christians took away our land. No, the Crusades were us trying to get it back. Muslim expansion and conquest is what spurred that on. 1096 to 1099, Pope Urban II. They were trying to take back Jerusalem, take back the Holy Land from a people whose ideology is entirely about conquest. Entirely about conquest. But I blame it on them. And you know who goes along with it? People on the left, of all people. Oh yeah. People on the Muslims, they're peace-loving people. Yes, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful religion. Queers for Palestine. Hey. Wow.
Today, we bring the favor back, turn their churches into masjids and their schools into Islamic schools. Bring the light of Islam to here. We're able to buy ready to go institutions that have been there for a long time, but they emptied out and now it is time to be filled with Muslims, with reverts, converts.
We've got the church to blame. We've got liberalism to blame. We've got feminism to blame. We've got academia to blame. We took this wonderful thing here in America and we squashed it like a bug. And what, it's like we turned it into a dead carcass. Well, what shows up when you have a dead carcass? The vultures. And that's Islam. They say we bought up churches. The churches are going out, but we're building. Why? Because we're reproducing. We're making more and more and more. And eventually, there's nothing you can do. Like that other guy said, there's nothing you can do about it. Sorry, don't blame us. You're all going to become Muslims, whether you want to or not. And if not, that's what happens. We've normalized a lot of this stuff. This is in New York. Here you go, teaching. Oh, in New York. Is this necessary?
Sure.
New York. Let's show women how to put on a hijab. Are there that many of them? Yes, there are. Good gracious. I'll be honest. I butchered a lot of my delivery on this tonight. Wow. I read through it and I did this so many times and it's infuriating to me. I love this country. I believe in freedom of religion, but you have to acknowledge, people have to acknowledge that there are certain religions that are, if you have to have zero knowledge of Islam, and most people do, to not understand that it is a religion of conquest, that it is about subversion. And it blows my mind that Tucker Carlson sat there on his podcast and tried to, make light of, it's nice in Abu Dhabi. It's nice in Bahrain. It's like he has no idea, even though he had done interviews with people. He had talked about how Sharia law was a bad thing. It subjugated women. It's not a religion where definitely not a religion where you can live in freedom. And he's making excuses for it. Do you guys think he was bought and paid for with Qatari money? That's the excuse, not the excuse, but the conspiracy that's being thrown around that Qatar has bought and paid for Tucker Carlson. I don't know if that's the case. Qatar's got boatloads of money. But this is dangerous, guys. This is actually dangerous. This was something that was thwarted in Italy. This is Viterbo. This was it wasn't last night. It was a few days ago, but this is the way they made the post. And I went and followed up and was reading about this. And yeah, there were 40,000 Christians who were gathering for a celebration, and they busted two Muslim guys with machine guns, getting ready to open up on a crowd of 40,000 people. Thankfully, the police stopped it. But annihilation is built into this whole thing. And they, like I say, they need a caste system. That's how this kind of works. It's kind of like socialism in that respect. That, you've got to have your elites. You've got the elites and they tell people what to think. And then you've got the lemmings below them who just blindly go along. And, people, I think Muhammad Hijab, I think that's his name. You can Google him on Piers Morgan. He's an insufferably narcissistic person. But he's the type of guy who, he's rich now. He'll stay rich. He'll become an influential Muslim. He'll, do all that sort of stuff. But I think that's why they're okay with the inbreeding, because the more simpletons you have, the more foot soldiers you have. I'm being overly simplistic about that, but yeah. Who is this paid shill on my timeline? Oh, you're talking about me? What paid shill would you be talking about? Oscar, let's see. Let's add Oscar to the thing. Who is this paid shill on my timeline? What? Because I'm not a fan of Sharia law? I would like to give me in the comment section, Oscar, go ahead and give me your best take on why Sharia law would be something that we should allow here in America. We should allow it to upend our current system. There we go. I would love to know. I love comments like that. It's so simplistic. You're a paid shill. Who's paying me? Who's paying me? I work 3 jobs. Who's paying me? Oh my gosh. I will tell you guys, there's a study, and I recommend you read it. It's by Bruce Rind. It's a meta-analytic examination of assumed properties of child sexual abuse using college samples. And I was reading it. It was using AI to kind of go through all of it and pull out some of the stats. But it was talking about how in these parts of the world, you get into the Middle East, you get into North Africa, you get into various parts of the world, largely Muslim now, and their relationships between young boys and grown men. It was really interesting, and I was going to bring up the parts about that, but again, YouTube would boot me off if I started playing all that kind of stuff. So play it back, check it out. It's definitely worth reading. You can ask AI about it, and it's Bruce Rind, R-A-N-D, which when I first heard about it, they didn't actually give the spelling of it. But this is a common thing in Muslim countries. Really is. It's quite frightening, the abuse of young boys. I saw it quite a bit in Afghanistan, definitely. In Afghanistan, there was a great deal of that. They called them chai boys, but these young boys, 11 to 14, and they considered it like a rite of passage for manhood to have an older man who abused them, is what it is. But they considered it, for lack of a better term, injecting masculinity into these young boys. It's very, very horrific stuff, but it has been studied and it's fairly prevalent. So anyway, I've about hit the end. You guys let me know in the comments. I don't guess Oscar is going to contribute any more to the conversation. I was hoping he would have something to say other than I'm a paid shill in his timeline. It's very original. I've heard that from, usually when I say anything positive about Israel, that's usually what I get. Oh, you're a shill. You're dancing for Israel. Nobody who is anti-Israel and doesn't like Jews is satisfied unless you give a full-throated denial of their right to exist as a country and how they are the source of all the problems in the world. It's very interesting. And as I say, I don't give a full-throated support for them, but do I think they have a right to exist? Yeah. Do I think it's better that Jewish people are sitting on all the major Christian archaeological sites that show that, where Christ was, lived, where he preached, where he was crucified, where he rose again? Yeah. Do I think would I rather have Jewish people on that? Or would I rather have a bunch of Hamas thugs who would take great pride in setting some plastic explosives on it and blowing it up? I think I'll go with the Jewish people on that one. Junior said, Oscar is a runner, just another coward. That's exactly right. I think that's what it is. And look, I try not to be ad hominem about any of this stuff. I'll be honest, but it's having witnessed it firsthand. That used to be the telltale sign for us as to what level of, how devout the Muslims were in areas we would go to, both in Iraq and in Afghanistan. If the woman was dressed entirely like a beekeeper, you knew that the Taliban was around, or it would be Al-Qaeda was around if it was in Iraq, any of these things. And it was an opportunity for us to say, oop, get your antennas up. If you didn't see them at all, you knew you were in the real territory. And that's the sort of thing that's where Islam always leads. It leads to its natural end, which is women dressed up like beekeepers, tucked away in the house. They have no rights. They are abused both physically, emotionally, and sexually. It's just where it ends. It is. And I don't say that to say that all of them are bad. There are very kind ones, and I've known a lot of very, very sweet people who are Muslims. I just see the entire, that whole entire political system, which is Sharia law. I see it as a bit of a cancer, I guess. People can, and I always find the people that are, I guess you would say, well, the nicer Muslims, the very kind Muslims, they take a more glossy approach to the faith. They kind of ignore the rough and rowdy stuff. And, you ignore the rough and rowdy stuff, and yeah, you can, people are kind, they're sweet. They reached their actual level of humanity as opposed to letting what I consider to be an anti-Christ mentality, an anti-Christ sentiment take over their personality. And that's what causes them to become ISIS. It's what causes them to become Al Qaeda or Hezbollah or Hamas. Any of these things. That's my belief. And, you know, I don't know. It's a wild and crazy world. Janie, thanks for the comments. Oscar cannot supply the facts. That's it. I mean, I'm more than happy for somebody to come and argue with me about the end results of Islam, even if it's compatible in America. And I just don't think that it is. I'm not going to read that quote, Junior. People can read that one down in the comments. That's harsh. That is harsh. Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate all the commentary. I appreciate you guys watching. We're coming up on 40 minutes. I usually try to keep these things at 30. I went on for, I think, an hour the other day. The viewership tends to rise a bit. Let me see if I can find some headlines while I'm waiting on anybody else that wants to provide a bit of commentary, even if you want to call me a shill, although that's not really worth anybody's while. Let's see. Oh, gosh. Here we go. Oh, free DC. You know, this is hilarious. I have seen, this has been all over my feed. These leftists, I don't know where they found those. George Soros must have opened up his pocketbook. These are the people who are marching to try and free DC from the National Guard, who, by the way, has dropped carjackings by 40%. All crime is down across the board, 30 or 40%. That's a lot of people. It's a whole lot of Democrats coming out to say, hey, National Guard, quit enforcing these laws. Everything is so, everybody is so ideologically driven. Even beyond common sense, I feel like the left has done that more than anybody. It's, to heck with common sense. Who cares about common sense? All I know is that Joy Reid has told me that Donald Trump is bad, and that's the only thing I can believe. I can't look at anything for myself. I can't read for myself. I implore everybody who watches this, go onto ChatGPT or go onto Grok. Grok is a fantastic AI program. I do the upgrade. I don't do the full paid version of Grok, but you can ask it anything and it will give you sources. You can follow those sources. And if those sources are too left-wing for you, you can tell it, give me more conservative sources and get both ends of the spectrum. Give me the far left perspective. Give me the far right perspective on this. And you'll find that most of what you're being told by the mainstream media is nonsense. It is garbage. And yet so many people just follow them like blind lemmings. It's quite shocking is really what it is. It is shocking how many people are willing to do that. And they just hate Donald Trump. They don't like his rhetoric or whatever. Forget the fact that he is doing a lot. Again, I give him my critiques. I give him my criticisms because we have to be fair about that. But don't just hate the guy simply because some talking head told you to hate him. I ask everybody to go and verify whatever I say. You should. You shouldn't take some dude on the internet's just opinion for it. Use this to capture some options. Here's some things he's talking about. Here's some things he said. And I do live streams all the time. Feel free to hop back on and tell me that I'm full of it. Say, hey, you got this wrong. I'll invite you to come on the show. I don't care. Explain to me why you think I'm wrong, because I do research these things heavily, but so many people don't. They're like, nah, I don't care. Doesn't really matter to me. And look, some people they don't want to get wrapped up in all of it. I get it. I get viewers like that too. And that's a piece of it. But I just ask everybody to, at the very least, get multiple perspectives. Just because I'm giving you opinion doesn't mean that, I'm the only one you should get. That's why everybody is subscribed to, hundreds of YouTube channels, right? Because we want multiple perspectives. We got to get out of our algorithm, get out of our, our echo chambers, listen to other people. I will say that most of the other people outside of I don't say echo chamber, but my way of thinking, I think they're wildly wrong, but I would at least like to understand their perspectives, and I try to. Okay, guys, that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you so much. Be sure if you're new here, we got several folks coming on. It's wild. It always happens right around that 45-minute mark. People start hitting it. They start coming on. But I have to hop off here because I've got to prepare for another video that I'm going to do tomorrow. Be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is released. Thank you all for joining me. I truly appreciate it. And hey, I'll see you in the next video. Let's thank Junior. Thanks for coming on. Janie, thanks for coming on. Oscar, you didn't really contribute much, Oscar, other than calling me a shill, but you're still welcome on the channel. That's fine. Stray Kitten, as always, I appreciate you coming back. You, Junior, Janie, y'all have been some very active commenters and followers on my channel. I appreciate it. Love you guys. God bless you. God bless America. And I'll see you in the next video.